So here's a still from the movie Tenet, and here's a photograph from Tenet. And I did a grade for Tenet yet with the 6 notes, so we have to start from scratch. So first I start with a color space transform and go to my output gamma. And then I will take a look at my reference image, and we can see that the red highlights are very high, then followed by green and blue. So the highlights are not neutral, it's very warm. So I will think I will pick the D55. So to also start with very warm highlights, and with the D55 we have warm highlights. Then I go to my reference image here, and I try to dial in the contrast and exposure. And also change the pivot. Then I go to my vector scope and I like to move the offset to the magenta area, so I can see the original trace from our reference image. And if I reset this one, this is too wide, too spready, so I will do a RGB mix. And so this is our 2-split, and I will reduce the output to maybe 20%. This is a good start. Then I go back to my offset and move my offset more. So again, away to magenta, and then I can see if I have to rotate my U, but I don't think I have to rotate my U. So I leave it at 50. And I just move the offset to match the film. So now I'm going back to the parade, and I will lower my exposure. Maybe lower the contrast, increase the exposure, and this looks good enough for a start. So I'm not aiming for the perfect match, as I said before, but yeah, this is good enough. So we got nice skin tones. We can add more saturation or less. The blacks look good, the hair. Maybe it's more greenish and more bluish, so I will change the lock so we can see that it doesn't line up here. So I go to my lock wheels, and if I bring down the blue, and maybe I also check the green and the red, No, I think before was better. But in the log wheel I can crush my blacks if I want to. But no, this looks pretty good. I don't think I need this one. I think this is good enough, so let's move on to the next film. So let's start with some basic orange and teal look. Here's a still from Jurassic World. And this is a behind the scenes image which I create to look similar to the film still. And this is the original behind the scenes still. And now I will try to match these both scenes. Here's my node tree. In the first node I place a CST. And this is very basic. I'm going from timeline to Xenon film log. And my color space is Rec 709. In the second node, I start to balance the shot. To balance the shot, I'm using the offset tools. And I'm choosing Parade. So Parade is my favorite tool to balance it. And what I'd like to do is I boost up the contrast. And I like to boost up the saturation. And then I can see if the blue is too high or the red. So in this case, I might want to lower the blue a bit. Sometimes I switch to the vector scope, and it's also a very good indicator. So I'm shifting the offset to left and to right, and you can see that when I'm in the center of the vector scope, then the image is pretty much balanced. Same in the Parade. So I try to match this. And this looks pretty good. Then I reset my contrast and my saturation. Then I go to node number 5 and apply the Kodak 2383 LUT. So I go to film looks, and then we have 3 different versions. So I decided to go with the most neutral one, the D65. Then it looks like this. And then the RGB mixer, I will go to my blue output and increase the green output to 1 and lower the blue output to 0. This will gives me a 2 strip, as you can see here. So this is before. And this is after. And what I do next is I will lower the key output. And I will start with something like 20%, for example. This is a good start. And then I will switch to the Parade. And I took a still from the final movie for comparison. Then I click on image wipe, and then I can check the contrast, and I can go to my balance node, node number 2, and I will lower the contrast a bit. And also the exposure. Then I increase the contrast a bit. This looks pretty good. And then there comes the look development part. So I'm going back to the vector scopes. And now I will look at the final image first. And I do not care much about this area here. This is just some green leaves. I try to replicate the overall shape of the trace, which looks something like this. And in my case, it looks something like this. So I go to my offset. Then I'm using my panel to shift the offset in a similar direction. And with image wipe tool, and I'm moving the offset away. You can see this is the film still, and this is my image. And if I move it on top of each other, then I should get a pretty good match. And sometimes you can see that I might want to rotate the U. So you can see what happens when I rotate the U. So maybe maybe this angle is pretty good. Then I move this around on top of the other image. And this is a pretty good match. Now I go back to my balance. And maybe I want to decrease the exposure and increase the contrast. And that's pretty much it. So all I'm using is, I balance my shot, I use the RGB mixer, I use offset and hue, the Kodak, and that's it. And this is very close to the grading I already did for the website. As you can see, this is the new grade, and this is the old grade, and this is the final movie image. So I'm not aiming for a perfect match because the movie is already made. And this is just a demonstration how I match still by using this node structure. And it will never be a perfect match because behind the scene images it is not the same as working with the original log material from the cinema camera. You can download this power grade. It is part of the Kurs material, and then you can inspect the power grade further. And what you can also do is, additionally, you can go to sizing and click on reference sizing. And this is our reference image here, and we can pan and tilt this image and zoom. And then we can actually see that this is not a perfect match, but I'm not aiming for the perfect match because this is just a demonstration. But I can go to my qualifier and then see, okay, this is here on the skin tone line, a little bit too yellow. And this is pretty close, but it still looks different. So maybe I adjust the offset a little bit, maybe lower the exposure. So you can see all I'm doing is I'm changing my offset wheel at the panel to get the perfect skin tone. But as I said, it will never be perfect because this is just a demonstration and the image is not coming from a real cinema camera. It's coming from a photograph, and the image science is completely different compared to a cinema camera, but you can get very close. So that's it for Jurassic World. Let's go to the next part.